What's up guys? Sorry this has taken so long to get this video out, but I'm heavily into the filming of the Wheeler Dealers Dream Car series, which is going really well by the way. It's taken up so much time. It's like having a proper job again. I'm having to go to work every day. I've got to commute. Hasn't happened for a long time. It's all great though, it's all going really well, but it does mean I'm struggling to keep up with these videos just because of a lack of time. So I apologise this is a little bit late. There's been a lot of discussion following the Canadian Grand Prix obviously, and rather than go into my full normal Ask Elvis video that I normally do on a Monday, there were so many questions after yesterday's race all about that incident that I thought with this video I'll keep it just to that specific incident and those specific questions that came from around that, and if I can I will answer all the rest of your questions in another video as the week goes on. I will also at the end of this one announce a winner from this week's competition for those of you who entered to win that brilliant artwork that I was giving away in the preview video. So let's get into this then, and I've picked this question by Brian Rebholz because I think it kind of sums up for me the talking points of the Canadian Grand Prix. It sums up so many of your questions, so apologise if you sent in questions around this and I haven't answered yours specifically. I hope the answer to Brian's question will cover lots of what you've asked. Many of you want my opinion on what happened, but Brian says, wow, Canadian Grand Prix, what a battle between Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. My questions: do you think Seb re-entered unsafely? Do you think there should be changes made to the regs allowing for different types of corners, i.e. tarmac versus grass runoffs? Brian, I think that's a great way of putting that question because it does cover quite a lot of it. So let's deal with the first bit first of all. Do you think Seb re-entered the track unsafely? 100%. Of course he did. He was out of control. He made that mistake. He went across the grass. He had dirty tyres. He had zero grip on the grass. And when he entered back onto the racetrack at that weird, funny angle, of course he was out of control. Of course it was an unsafe re-entry. So on the most simplest of terms, according to the regulations, he deserves a penalty. And I sat there yesterday watching my TV and I watched the race on Sky. I was really quite surprised with how vociferous every single one of the Sky pundits were about that being an unfair penalty. And I was sitting there screaming at my TV going, it can't be unfair. You know, what else could the stewards possibly do within the regulations and the rules that we've got right now? He entered unsafely, he squeezed Lewis Hamilton over to the wall. Now, I'm going to say at this point, I 100% wanted Sebastian Vettel to win that race yesterday. I am not a Lewis Hamilton fanboy before you all start crying out. I 100% wanted Sebastian to win. I think that's what the championship needs. It's what that race needed. It's definitely what Seb needs. And just to at least put some kind of mix into the whole situation, we needed a different winner other than a Mercedes. And it was on yesterday. It was there for the taking. And then Sebastian Vettel made yet another mistake under pressure. And that's where this whole thing unravelled from. So Lewis Hamilton starts putting Seb under pressure, which he does very well. He's very, very good at doing that. Because, at least partly because, he knows that Sebastian has form in making errors under pressure. And it happened again. And Sebastian Vettel, in making that error under the pressure that he was in, leading the race, come on, making that mistake, put himself into a situation that, yes, he struggled to recover from, and he may well have struggled to get back onto the circuit in a safe manner, but that was because of his mistake. He put himself onto the grass. He could have lifted, he could have hit the brakes. Of course he didn't want to do that, because he knows that if he does that, Lewis Hamilton takes the lead and 100% then takes the win. So in my mind, Sebastian Vettel, he was out of control, yes. He had no choice but to bounce back onto the racetrack, but he 100% also in his mind wanted to close that door, wanted to shut the door on Lewis Hamilton because he was desperate. He desperately needed Lewis to stay behind him to have any shot of winning that race. And yeah, it may have been a gamble at that point because he may well have got a penalty, but that's not going through his head at that stage. He's just got that racing instinct to keep Lewis Hamilton behind. And yeah, luckily Lewis backed out of it. Lewis hit the brakes or got out of the throttle to avoid an accident of being squeezed into the wall. Thank goodness he did that, so we didn't end up with any major incident, potentially a really unsafe incident. But the penalty, in my mind, as soon as the stewards have to start looking at it, is absolutely a slam dunk. They had no option. So we can't be angry with the stewards. We can't be angry with Lewis Hamilton because he didn't really do anything wrong. And can we be angry with Sebastian Vettel? Not angry, but upset. He made a mistake when he was leading a race and had that race win at his fingertips. So I hope, Brian, that answers the first part of your question. I know many of you will disagree. When I was watching the TV and surprised at how every single one of the Sky pundits went in on the stewards and said it was unfair, I watched a piece by Karun Chandhok where he was at the Sky pad talking us through the incident, where Karun was trying to convince the viewing public that it should not have been a penalty. I watched his piece thinking, 100% now, I believe it should have been a penalty. So Karun's piece at the Sky pad convinced me of the opposite of what he was trying to say, in that, for me, just made it absolutely clear to me that the stewards had no choice but to give him a penalty. They gave him the cheapest penalty available, let's not forget, a 5-second penalty. So I think, Brian, I hope that covers that. And agree or disagree, I'm sure you'll let me know, but that was my opinion. Within the rule set that we have, there was no question it had to be a penalty. Then we come on to the second part of your question there. Do you think there should be changes made to the regs allowing for different types of corners or tarmacs and grass runoff areas, that kind of thing? So, whilst I say the stewards had no choice but to give out a penalty in that situation, which I 100% believe, do I think that was the right decision for our sport? Is that the decision that our sport should be making in those situations? That then is perhaps a different answer and another debate altogether. Because we want to see drivers racing, we want to see them racing hard, we want to see them, rubbing wheels, and occasionally you do that, you're going to make contact. Do we want to see every single one of those things investigated and put blame on one individual or the other? Do we always have to have somebody to blame and a penalty to be dished out every time somebody rubs wheels, bumps into each other, has some kind of racing incident? The answer is no, of course we don't. But to play devil's advocate there, we have to have some rules. And even if we said, all right, we're going to have a different set of rules for grass runoff areas, for tarmac runoff areas, we're going to look at each situation on an individual basis, you've still got to have some rules. And even if you relax those rules a little bit to allow them to race harder and more aggressively with each other, somewhere there has to be a line where the rules just come up with an absolute hard and fast line. Even if you pull that line back a little bit from where it is right now. And when you've got a hard and fast line and a hard and fast rule, there will be another incident like this. It may not be as outrageous or as aggressive as this, but there'll be another incident where we're on the edge of that hard line, where half the people watching say that's outrageous, it should never have been a penalty. Others say it's a slam dunk penalty. So you have to have rules, otherwise it's utter chaos. And we need to decide where those rules are going to be, how they're going to be applied. But because you've got rules, there will always be contentious incidents. And that's just part of motorsport. It's part of sport. The fact we're all talking about it so kind of animatedly, that's great. That's what sport should be. It should provoke argument and discussion that should run on for days after an incident. That's what the very best sports do. So whether you agree or not, whether you're in Lewis's camp or Sebastian's camp, or even somewhere in between, a neutral camp that just wants to see the best of Formula One, we are always going to have, because it's a sport, because it's a regulated sport, we are always going to have contentious refereeing decisions. And we are making these decisions the best way we know how. We're using all the technology that's available to us. Replays, slow motion replays, data analysis. We've got everything at our disposal to make the right decision, and in my mind, yesterday we made that right decision. A lot of people won't agree because it killed the race at the end, but that is unfortunate. That's a result of Sebastian Vettel's mistake. So Sebastian Vettel killed that race. Not the stewards, not Lewis Hamilton, and not really Formula One. The fact that Sebastian made a mistake when he could have won the race, that's what killed it dead. So there you go. There's my opinion on it. Agree or disagree, let me know. I obviously want to hear it. I'm sure you will. So many of you have been fired up on this topic already, looking through my mentions on social media. So apologies for the radio silence up until now, but there you have it. There's my opinion on it. Let me know what you think. Right, let's get into giving away this F1 artwork from the gpbox.com. Lots of you seem to like it because lots of you entered, so thank you very much to everybody who took part. I have all of the correct entries here lined up on my computer. I am scrolling back and forwards all the way through, top to bottom and back again. So this is fair. I am going through every single entry. It is not favouring those in the middle of the lineup. And I'm going to stop randomly in a moment and we'll see where it ends up, where the screen stops. Here we go. And there you go, to validate my point, that has stopped one away from the end of the list. So there you go. And the winner is Joe Radosta. Joe Radosta, let me double check you've got it all correct. You have indeed. Joe Radosta, you have won the artwork this week, so congratulations. Thank you very much for taking part. I'll get in touch with you directly. Thanks to the gpbox.com, of course, for allowing us to have all of these items to give away every week with these preview videos. I'm really enjoying it. I know you are too. So go check out the gpbox.com if you haven't already. They are a great site and they will definitely find something that will make either a great Father's Day gift coming up very soon, birthdays, Christmas, whatever, or even just for yourselves. Have a look. There's artwork, memorabilia, clothing, all sorts of stuff. It's like an Aladdin's cave of motorsport. So go check out the gpbox.com. Thanks very much, everybody. I will hopefully be back later in the week to answer more of your questions. So thanks, keep them coming. Keep using hashtag AskElvis if you want them answered. I will try my best later in the week to get back to you with a full video on that. But for now, cheers, ta-da.